All right there, passengers, buckle in your seatbelts because it's time for another commentary. That's right, this is Cholera bringing you set 1 of OGN Sparkies versus Korean Air Force Ace. This is Tazza, TTaza, fighting against none other than the Man Toss. And I gotta say, Tazza made quite a big splash in the scene by beating Bisu in his very, very first game ever played, and this was after Bisu had just won the MSL. However, today, he is going to be facing the Man Toss, whose hair has grown back mostly. Notice that. A few months ago, I casted a game of Tazza facing Oversky, and at the very end of the video, when Tazza got beaten pretty badly, we saw Reach in the background for the first time wearing an Air Force Ace uniform. At that time, he hadn't started playing yet, back in the end of November. But at that time, he was almost entirely bald. And now, much like Samson, his hair has grown back, and with this full head of hair, I expect Reach to be doing quite well. His colossal strength returning to him. Now, Reach has been busy these last few days catching North Korea's latest missile launch with his bare hands, intercepting it and making sure that it doesn't land anywhere near all the enemies of North Korea, which is basically everyone. So if you hear about these days about how either that missile got shot down by the Americans or about how it turned out to be just quote unquote a satellite or something like that, no, none of that happened. What happened was Reach was in his airplane in the Korean Air Force, and he actually flew with it into space. Ejected himself from the cockpit, grabbed it with his bare hands, and dragged it down to Earth, where it landed harmlessly into the sea. No, the missile shield didn't do that. Reach did that. So, if Reach loses to Tazza today, it is because he has been busy in the troposphere catching missiles with his bare hands. And today, it's going to be a Protoss versus Protoss here, of course. For those of you who haven't seen the game with Tazza yet, Tazza, a new Protoss player. And on the map Medusa, not a bad map to put a Protoss on, obviously, because it is a very P-favored map against pretty much every matchup. Well, not really PvZ, but against PvT, it is a very Protoss favored map. So, for those of you who are interested, the round of 4 is starting up in the MSL pretty soon, and the round of 8 is still going on in the OSL, and Moletrap is doing live casts of all of these. So do check out sc2g.com for a schedule of his live casts. I know he's planning on doing quite a few of them. And here we go. We're about to be starting here. OGN versus Air Force Ace. I gotta say, Air Force Ace needs to get some wins, not because it's ever going to make it into the playoffs, but because I just want to see Reach win more, in general, because if the couple of crappy players are sending up can't win, then they can't get to Reach. So Reach, of course, making certain that he's going to start off. That's a smart strategy, so that all the Mantos fans can see him play for certain in this Winners League. And here we have Reach, by the way, at the left side in red, and we have Tazza on the right side in yellow. PvP on this map often leads to a pretty slow start, actually. We generally don't see a fast rush, which is kind of surprising considering that there's no ramp or anything, but generally we do see basically either a Mass Dragoon strategy or a Reaver strategy pretty early on, and usually the crux of the game is who can expand and get away with it. Basically, one person will choose to expand, and the other person will try to kill them. And it's basically if the person can kill them, then they're dead, and if they can expand, then the person who try to kill them is in big trouble. Those are some rather underage fans of Reach. Oh, look at that! The Zealot toss right there. That's a picture of a Manlot, by the way, with Reach's face imposed upon it, of course. Notice that Tazza has gotten his pylon in sort of an anti-man pylon position. Obviously he's scared of one of the more manlier pylons in the game, which is Reach's pylon inside of his mineral lines. So yeah, Reach these days has been around the 50% mark, which is pretty damn impressive for such an old school player. And oh, look at this! Look at this! Interesting enough from Tazza. And by the way, I'm going to correctly identify this as Anytime and Lita. Tazza has hidden his pylon at that natural expansion, and that's going to And that might confuse Reach a little bit upon what build he's actually going for, and also Reach might think that he's going to go for some kind of proxy play or something like that, so he might just try to find that pylon somewhere. It might just, cause a little bit of confusion in general. Looks like both players are going to scout in the wrong direction here. Tazza just going in a little bit and assuming that Reach isn't there, and I think maybe he was also trying to trick Reach into thinking that that was a probe coming out of his base. Who knows? And looks like there's an anti-mana pylon from Reach also. And there's Go-Go and NC Yellow. That's right, my fusiform gyrus in my brain is working correctly. I'm identifying these faces correctly. By the way, Reach went for a Cybernetics core first before the second pylon, so he's going to have slightly faster technology. Whereas we're going to see a Zealot coming out now for Tazza. Interesting enough, neither player, not interesting enough, this is pretty standard, neither player deciding to go for any kind of fast rush here, it seems, on this map. And I don't know who that is, actually. Some guy from their team. It doesn't look like Casey. I don't know. It could be Casey with glasses. Not sure. Anyway, so we're seeing both players mining gas here. Reach needs to chase away this probe, of course. And interesting enough, we're seeing a second gateway being put on next to the second pylon. I think that's Sunny, by the way. Not exactly sure. Don't really recognize these Ace players that much anymore because I really haven't watched that many Ace games. I just watched a ton of Reach games, as you guys have probably noticed by now. So, right now we're seeing basically Reach needs to get rid of this probe here before he can tech up and take advantage of the fact that he has a slightly faster core. Meanwhile, Tazza is probably going to go for a 2-gate bust here, and this could be bad for Reach because I'm not sure if Reach has even gotten in a scout yet, and he's might not have any idea this is coming. And if Tazza goes for something like a 3-gate, that could be really bad. Looks like Reach getting range, and so is Tazza. 3-gate rushes actually work pretty well on this map. Basically just a 3-gate pressure build, and I really hope Reach doesn't go for a fast expand again. In the game against Much that he lost recently in the series against CJ, he went for this sort of bizarre 1-gate core fast expand on destination, and Much just walked all over it, and Reach also didn't go for Dragoon range, and looks like this time he's not going to go for a fast expand, which is sensible. He's getting a second gateway and putting it on a robotics facility. Very standard build here from Reach, and in fact it doesn't look like Tazza's going to be going for some sort of all-in build. It's just a strange position to put his gateway, pretty much. That's all he was going for, is just a weird positioning. That's not bad either. I find Tazza an interesting player. I think I don't think I've watched all of his games yet, but I think he has a lot of potential, and he's got a good sense of humor, which I appreciate. I like it when the Korean programmers aren't just completely robotic-faced and, completely stoic, and the only emotion they ever show is when they're sad and, they just lost and they show a tiny grimace. I guess Bisu's a good example of that, someone who's just, so completely stoic face. It gets boring after a while, even though his face is very pretty. It's just, you gotta have a sense of humor. Like Lita, for example, when he loses, he laughs about it when he gets 5-pooled. And Tazza laughs about it when he loses too, so I like that about him. Anyway, it looks like Tazza going to move forward a bit with a couple of Dragoons. I don't think he has any kind of real superiority, maybe one Dragoon more. But Reach knows this is coming, and looks like the numbers are about equal here. But, he's going to get a reconnaissance and force here, basically. He's going to be able to spot if there's an expansion, and he's going to see none here. So Reach has gone Obs first, and he's going to go for some Reavers afterwards. And we're probably going to see, I actually don't know what we're going to see here. Tazza, once again, choosing the high things. He's hiding his observatory. It's a hidden observatory. Well, I know why it's there. Also, it's to the pylon's there to see if Reach is doing any kind of funny business, either to his temples or to the in terms of floating a Reaver over there, and another hidden sort of proxy sort of robotic support bay for Tazza, and pretty much similar timings. Reach, actually, interesting enough, choosing to take his back expansion, the mineral only. Now, if Tazza takes his gas right now, I think Tazza's going to have an advantage, because Reach doesn't really have more offensive capability than Tazza, and, his expansion will overall be less useful than Tazza's. And, right now, Tazza hasn't really gone for any kind of fast rush build that he really has to worry about defending his natural. Looks like Reach is going to spot the fact that Tazza has observers, and he's going to have to run his observer away, hide it somewhere so it doesn't get sniped. And he's not going to see anything of particular interest, although he is actually going to the back of Tazza's base, so he's going to spot the robotic support bay also. That's the only thing he couldn't have known was there. Reach, on the other hand, basically both players right now are waiting for their Reavers to come out, and Reach's Reaver play is pretty good, but Tazza has exhibited amazing Reaver play. In that game against Bisu, he really won just by pure Reavers. I still remember very clearly, Bisu went for a stupid DT rush, which failed, and then Tazza just had spectacular Reaver use and came out on top of that. Looks like Reach is going to put up a third and fourth gateway. He can support this Dragoon production because he's going to